This Week in Richmond is made possible in part by Dignity Memorial, caring for our communities with a network of funeral homes and cemeteries in Virginia and throughout North America. More information about Dignity Memorial's providers is online at dignitymemorial.com. The Virginia Chamber of Commerce, the voice of the Virginia business community, working in legislative, regulatory, and political arenas to promote the free enterprise system. Information at vachamber.com. Virginia hospitals and health systems provide jobs. They support our economy and promote public health. Local hospitals are always open to help people with unexpected health needs. Having a stable healthcare network is vital. Virginia hospitals are our lifeline.
It's amazing what my students with special needs can accomplish. Their pride is priceless. That's why I teach.
Brought to you by the Virginia Education Association, because a good education is good for everybody.
Additional support is provided by these sponsors. And by the members of Virginia's public television stations. Thank you.
Welcome to This Week in Richmond, and a very special opportunity to welcome the two newest members of the House of Delegates. Delegate Mike Mullin, whose seniority is number 99, and Delegate Jeff Bourne, number 100. Mike Mullin elected in November of this past year, so coming in the class of 2016, and our one member of the class of 2017, the special election. People will be seeing this show at the time now in between the end of the regular session and reconvene day, so I'm interested in having the two of you talk about issues or experiences in your entire session, or the portion of the session, Jeff, that you were able to serve in. Mike, you're the senior one of the two coming in last November, so you start, and then looking forward to hearing what the two of you have to say.
You know, it's been an incredible honor just to be up here and be able to serve. It's been a lot of fun, too. I have to say that it's been one of the greatest experiences of my life to be able to be up here and be able to see about trying to help out.
Well, I always make it a point to agree with smart people, so I would agree. It's the last 10, 11, 12 days have been a whirlwind of excitement and new beginnings, and so I'm humbled by the opportunity to serve in a body like the Virginia House of Delegates. So
from the Williamsburg area, and Jeff, from right here where we're sitting Absolutely. At the Capitol, this being a part of your district, you're representing constituents that you've worked with before at school board.
Yeah, no, it is quite an opportunity to serve many of the folks that I've served on the school board, but just in a different way. And it is truly an honor to be the representative of not only all the wonderful parents and community members that I know, but you know, folks like Ann and Tim Holton, Governor and Mrs. McAuliffe. It's pretty heady stuff for a guy from Wytheville, Virginia.
Yes, right in the seat of government. And how's this for you, the transition from all the work that you do to now also adding this into the mix?
You know, it's been, as you said, a whirlwind. You know, I work as a criminal prosecutor, and so I'm actually going to be back in the courtroom starting next week. And in 2 weeks, I got a jury trial that I have to do. Yes. So there's not really much time to be able to sort of sit back and relax.
Yes. Now, being here for the entire session, was there an opportunity to work on some issues that really were important to you and important to your constituents?
You know, there really was, especially for me with my criminal prosecutor background. I had a lot of bills that dealt with helping victims of domestic assault and sexual violence. That's something that sort of drives my career, and so I had a number of bills that did that, and was lucky enough to be able to get 4 out. So it was a great opportunity.
That's very good. And coming in when you did, beyond the time of really getting to introduce bills, but getting some key committee assignments, I'd say, the ones that former Delegate McClellan vacated.
Absolutely. I am extremely happy with the committee assignments that Speaker Howell graciously appointed me to. You know, and they fit with sort of who I am and what I've done. I'm a lawyer by training, and I've been on the school board. So, you know, issues dealing with the law, issues dealing with public education are not new issues to me, but the way in which we work on them and the issues that I face are new, but they're exciting, and I look forward to really continuing to do that work.
You're coming in right at the time when the current speaker has announced that he will not be running again, so coming in at a time of transition in the General Assembly as far as the leadership, and whether that will affect your committee assignments, I guess, would be up to see. But what committees are you working on this session?
So I was lucky enough to be on the Courts of Justice Committee and the Criminal Law Subcommittee. So we actually heard about a quarter of all the bills that were filed through the House. It happened to come just through our subcommittee. So it was a lot of work, you know, committee that would go until 10, 11 o'clock at night, but that's part of the job. And I was also on County, Cities, and Towns, which was a great committee to be able to help your local constituencies and your local community.
Thinking ahead, even beyond the reconvene day in April, and thinking ahead to upcoming session, are there particular issues that you've already have some plans to be working on, whether they're in areas that you've already mentioned in criminal law or in education? What would be on your agenda to be trying to put forth?
Well, I mean, clearly public education and trying to continue to put the ball further down the field on really creating an education system that our students and our children deserve and our families expect. Continuing to make some innovative reforms with regard to how we assess our schools and our students. In addition, continuing to work on issues like the school to prison pipeline, and there were a couple bills that you know started to try and address that, and so I look forward to working on issues like that. But Delegate Mullin mentioned an issue that is also near and dear to my heart from a personal perspective, and that's one of domestic violence. And then for beyond that, you know, another personal issue that drives some of the policy work that I want to get done is the issue of addiction. Many folks do not know, but until I was a senior in high school, my father battled addiction, and up until the time he died 2.5 years ago, he was clean and sober, and so I know firsthand how addiction can affect a family and affect a community, and so I want to continue to help Virginia deal with those issues in a thoughtful and progressive way.
Yes.
You know, I think that there also needs to be a focus on being able to provide jobs for our community, especially in where I am in Newport News and Williamsburg. People really want to be able to get back to work with the high-paying jobs that they had prior to 2007, 2008. And so I think that we need to do more to be able to protect equal pay for equal work, to make sure that working families are paid a living wage. And I think that there's more that can be done to be able to make sure that we're getting regulations out of the way of small businesses and encouraging women and people of color to be able to start those small businesses that are going to be the engines of our 21st economy, 21st century economy.
You know, the governor has spoken about and has worked for a new Virginia economy, one of his themes, and certainly the one that you referenced that really took a dive, in which many people lost high-paying jobs, and if they were fortunate, they got some other job, but it was not really paying as much. There's a need for a revised new Virginia economy, both whether it's in the city of Richmond in this area,
Absolutely.
or whether down in the peninsula, around the Commonwealth.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. You know, the two things that I think affect the health and vitality of a community are, one, the strength of the public education system, and two, the strength of the local economy, meaning that can folks who live in the city of Richmond, can folks who live in the Richmond region get and keep good jobs so that they can provide for their family and better their situation in life. And so, you know, as a spectator for a long while, I've enjoyed and applauded the work that Governor McAuliffe has done to create a new Virginia economy and really try and create that economic opportunity for everyone. And, you know, some of the issues that you might not think do that are, you know, his work on restoration of rights and restorative justice. And so all those things play a part in making sure that our folks get to enjoy all that Virginia has to offer.
You both represent areas that have really strong focus on higher education, and two or more great institutions in each of your areas. And I would think that that higher ed may be one of the ones that helps to bring about some change in a new economy.
I couldn't agree more. You know, and I think that one of the ways to do that is to focus on workforce development. Here in Virginia, for example, we have, I believe, 82,000 unfilled cybersecurity jobs. And those are good, high-paying jobs that start at $70,000, $72,000 a year. All we need to be able to do is harness the workforce that we already have, be able to educate them with the certificates and the background that they need to be able to fill those positions. And I think there are real opportunities. The governor's worked very hard to be able to expand that, but there's more work that can be done. And I think that our colleges and universities, particularly our two-year colleges and universities, have a lot of opportunity to be able to do that.
You know, as you mentioned workforce development, it makes me think about Senator John Miller, who's still missed, and our viewers from other parts of the Commonwealth might not know that you're here because of his untimely death, and then Monty Mason moving into the Senate seat and vacating the House seat. But he certainly was a champion of trying to get a workforce developed.
Senator Miller was a great friend and really a hero of mine.
Yeah.
And the work that he did to be able to revise our high school curriculum, which is
Yes.
only starting now to be implemented in the next 2 years, is extraordinary. It's going to transform the way that our K through 12 education system is structured, and that is a legacy that is going to live for decades and decades to come.
It certainly will, and though it may seem a bit trite, on another matter, as baseball season is beginning, his Cubs that he loved so much, that he wanted so much to see win the World Series, that they
so
won
close.
that. And
I thought of John when that
he'd
happened.
be cheering for them to repeat in 17.
I suspect he was watching from his seat.
Oh,
Yes,
he was.
Yes, right. Well, I really appreciate the two of you being on, that we have a chance that people around the Commonwealth who are not from your districts would have a chance to meet you. And in the upcoming session, we look forward to having more conversations, and thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you so
Mullin.
very
Well,
much.
thank you, David, for having us.
Yeah. Thank you. I'd like to welcome Delegate Cliff Hayes and Delegate Rocky Holcomb. Again, two of the newest members of the House of Delegates. So in this show, our viewers are seeing the four newest members. Appreciate your being on, and your reflecting and telling viewers about the session that's ended, and whether it's maybe issues or bills that you introduced, or just your perspective on serving now in the General Assembly. So either one of you start, and the next one join right in.
Well, David, based on seniority, I'm 99 and Cliff's 98, so I'll yield to the senior member.
Right.
Well, I'll just simply say that it has been an eye-opening experience in comparison to having served on the local level on a local city council, and the pace at which things move for city council, and how much lead time you have to prepare before an item is heard. Sometimes that might be 3 weeks to a month, only to move and come into a situation where I got a call or email at 6 o'clock one evening to say that my bill was going to be heard the next morning at 7 a.m.
Right.
So things move much quicker up here, and at a smaller window of time as well. And so that was a huge adjustment to try to make during this session.
Well, a little bit different for me. I won in a special election on Tuesday and got sworn in on Wednesday morning. So I was really fast-paced and moving quick. And on that note, let me say the good people of the 85th District that I represent, I can't tell you how much I appreciate their confidence and support in me to come up here and represent them here in Richmond. And the constituents know that I have their that they have my ear, and I'm willing to listen to all the issues. And being fast-paced and getting up here on Wednesday after winning on Tuesday was really a busy time. And first thing I had to do was find out where the lunchroom and the bathroom was. So I found out where that was, and then next my office, and we started doing the work of the people. And I tell you, one thing about me that I'm passionate about is I'm a law enforcement guy. I've spent my career in uniform. I was in the Marine Corps, and then the Sheriff's Office. I'm a captain at the Virginia Beach Sheriff's Office. And this year, to see us moving the ball down the field on mental health reform and taking care of those issues has been very rewarding for me to see. I co-patroned a couple of bills with Delegate Yost, and the mental health problem is something that it's been around, and we really hadn't been dealing with it like I think we should. But I think we're really moving the ball down the field now, and I think that we're making some good strides, and we can continue to get some legislation passed and take care of those issues. But another thing is, and I know Cliff will agree, is to be in this session and see the Speaker of the House retire, and this be it for him. How special is that for us to come in this year and see that? And what a kind man. I mean, Speaker Howell he's fair, he's compassionate, and he's never once made me feel like a new guy. He was, hey, how you doing today? And just a great guy. And I think the highs that I'll take away from this is definitely being a part of this body with Speaker Howell.
Like Delegate Holcomb mentioned, very probably high level issue during this session has been this issue of mental health. And like Delegate Holcomb, I have spent a lot of my career as well in law enforcement, or more specific in corrections. I come from a technology perspective, but still working in that same environment. And as Delegate Holcomb mentioned earlier, it's quite interesting to see how that has kind of shifted over time in the corrections environment, in the law enforcement environment, even in education sometimes. We see individuals who should not necessarily be in the situation that they're in, particularly in corrections. Those with mental health challenges, I'm not so sure that they should be in jail, but getting the kind of help that they really need. And to see that ball, as Delegate Holcomb mentioned, to be moving and advancing, and all hands are on deck with trying to do something about mental challenges and mental health is very, very encouraging.
You each have to, as do most of the other members, juggle your full-time career with this part-time job that you have, both from Hampton Road, so you're not that far away, but yet you're far enough away you can't just run back to your district that easily. How has it been kind of in juggling? Are you kind of off duty until you return back, and then you'll be back in?
Yeah, I hung up my crime fighter hat for a couple months to come up here to Richmond, and I'll be putting it back on Monday morning. And we've been communicating with constituents through emails, and we did a telephone town hall, and for me, constituent services is the most important part of my job. And the folks from the 85th District, just like from Delegate Hayes' district, they sent us here to do a job, and they have our ear, and we're going to do that job. And you hear a lot about how things are going in Washington. That I don't see that here in Richmond. It's not the Virginia way. I think that we communicate and we talk and we work on issues, and we work on issues together that are good for the citizens. And I think that's what folks need to keep an eye on, is to understand that here in Virginia we don't have those issues. We work together to solve problems, and I've seen that firsthand, and I'm proud of the time I've had here, and I look forward to coming back.
Yeah, like Delegate Holcomb mentioned, the constituent services portion of our roles are probably the most important function that we have. As Delegate Holcomb mentioned, we stay in contact with our constituents daily. So it's not about necessarily going away per
Right.
se.
Yes.
And I can tell you, I have actually had to physically be in my district several times during the session to actually go down in the middle of the week for meetings, town hall settings, and then on the weekend sometimes even meeting with constituents as best you can. When that problem or that issue is on the front or
Right.
priority
Right.
to those citizens, that's the most important issue to them in the world. And so the best thing you could do is to be responsive to them and to see how quickly you can respond to the issues that they have. So yeah, I agree with Delegate Holcomb that that's probably one of the most important parts of what we do as constituent services.
So in addition to the mental health issue, each of you, we have time, name another issue that you've maybe worked on some this session or that you see as ongoing that needs some additional work going forward.
Well, yeah, and if you don't mind, I co-patron in a couple of bills with the opioid crisis. This opioid crisis in Virginia is we've got to get a handle on it. We've got to treat the problem and get this fixed. There's whole cities that are having folks that are addicted to this problem, and the burden it puts on government everywhere, and these folks need help, and we need to make sure that we're on the front line, reaching out, giving them the help they need to solve this problem. But I do think that the opioid crisis is something that's big here in Virginia. We've heard a lot about it.
Yeah, I was told yesterday that I'll be sitting in on conference to deal with one of those bills. Actually, it's an eye-opener, if you will, to be serving on health, welfare, and institutions, to hear the stories that we have, that at one time, there were people who may have been dealing with some type of pain.
Right,
and how
right.
in the industry we have overprescribed, if you will, dealing with those situations, trying to help them deal with the pain that they have, and only to find that those individuals would turn to something else later after the prescriptions have, expired. It's kind of troubling, if you will, if you look back over it. But now it's time to see what we can do to try to help individuals transition to be more productive in society and to try to get them off of those situations. Delegate Cox and the sheriff of Chesterfield County, I forget what the sheriff's name is, but there's a pilot program that they have going on there, and to hear the testimony from the sheriff was touching. This sheriff said that he not only wanted to handle or enforce the law or to take the individuals in for corrective measures to have them put in jail, but they were able to detox while they were in jail. But what they found in Chesterfield County is as these individuals were being released, many of them were turning to looking for those same drugs that got them in there in the first place. And the sheriff said that wasn't doing anybody any good to release them cold turkey, if you will, because they were finding that people were overdosing. So what he did was, and as a pilot program, they're opening the doors for those individuals who've served their time but may have some kind of challenge. And they're treating them as they come back, even though they don't have necessarily any charges at the time.
Interesting.
So we're talking about being effective, if you will, and that is to treat at the source of what the issue actually is.
Yeah, that program, the HEART program, it's great success. And I tell you, when we're treating this crisis and we're dealing with it, all pain is not physical. So, a lot of this is related to other issues, not physical. So, I think it's important, like you said, we treat the symptoms, and sometimes it may be unemployment, or it may be other struggles other than the physical pain, and I think it's important we get to the root of that and treat it.
Yeah, I think the other piece here is that we understand is coming into the General Assembly as freshmen. It's good to understand that on a team there are various roles to be played.
Right.
And I was reminded that there are a lot of shooting stars that just kind of come in, make a splash, and fade away. It's important for us to just kind of methodically learn this process, fundamentally understand the rules, the processes, and how things work here as well. Not only just the issues, but also strategically how things actually can get done. And so
Yeah.
that's
Well,
what.
that's a great wrap up, and
Oh.
I really appreciate both of you being on the show, and look forward to having conversations with you on this show in the future.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
This Week in Richmond is made possible in part by Dignity Memorial, caring for our communities with a network of funeral homes and cemeteries in Virginia and throughout North America. More information about Dignity Memorial's providers is online at dignitymemorial.com. The Virginia Chamber of Commerce, the voice of the Virginia business community. For jobs, the economy, and public health, Virginia Hospitals, our lifeline.
The Virginia Education Association, because a good education is good for everybody.
Additional support is provided by these sponsors. And by the members of Virginia's public television stations. Thank you.